Howdy team, Mr. Edwards here, and I want to present to you the Praise Question Suggestion Protocol. Now, I ran this protocol over the course of 3 days in my classroom, and I did it over 3 days in order to ensure active engagement and active participation from all the students. On the first day, I actually modeled in whole group how to actually provide praise, how to give a question, how to give a suggestion, so all the students could understand exactly how to write their responses. And we did this in a whole group setting. Every student got to respond to an example or to someone else's work, and we were able to give shout outs to students who were doing it correctly and help students who were struggling with the process and get some clarification in there for them. Now, on the second day, I gave them an opportunity to be in small groups. So they were in breakout rooms, and I had one student who was the leader directing everyone on what steps they needed to take. And then they got to focus on deciding whether or not they wanted to give praise, question, or a suggestion. Now, this is where I switched things up a bit. Rather than expecting them to do all three, I had them choose one. So they could either give their colleague praise, they could give their colleague a question, or they give their colleague a suggestion. But they did not have to do all three. And the reason I did this is just simply because of time constraints and ensuring that we got through as many students as possible for this feedback activity. Then finally, on the third day, we looked at all the feedback that everyone received. There were no names attached to any of the feedback, and I did this because it would allow every student to actually see different ideas that people had for other people's projects. Just because someone's idea was specific to one of your colleagues' projects doesn't mean that it can't help you. So what I wanted them to do was look at all the feedback that everyone had received and choose feedback they thought could help benefit them and their project. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at it.
Howdy team, Edwards here again. This is not actually a live recording of one of my classes. I do like to use live recordings so that you can see how much I blunder through it in the moment. But I could not find the original video that I created showing this first day of this protocol, so I am making an explanation video instead. So first thing what we did on that day is we went to our protocol. And this is where we're going to do the praise question suggestion protocol. And we're going to do it whole group and provide feedback to a small number of students in the whole group. Let's go ahead and go to that protocol page. And I always like to post the protocol cards, but I never require the students to read them. I always translate them into something else, something simpler for them to look at. So in this protocol, students are going to present their egg drop drafts, and then they're going to be posting, their colleagues will be posting responses or feedback to their egg drop drafts in the Padlet activity. Now they're going to be posting those responses, and the responses are going to be in the format of praise, question, and a suggestion. Now I like praise, question, suggestion because it's very similar to like, wonder, and next step, except I find it easier just to wrap my head around praise, questions, and suggestions better than I can wrap my head around like, wonder, and next step. It's just, the words are a little bit too abstract for me here. So when I first open up this protocol, I'm having the students focus on a key factor within the egg drop. We're not going really broad here. We're going very specific. So for their praise, they need to focus on the safety and security of the egg drop. For their question, they need to focus on the safety and security of the egg drop. And for the suggestions, they need to focus on the safety and security of the egg drop. In this moment, this is where we talked about what safety means and what security means. For the purpose of this video, I told them that safety means it's about how well the egg is going to be protected or insulated from impact. Security means how well the egg will stay in the center or stay in its location without moving around. So we talked about this. We had some shout outs, and then we went over these bolded points. Now, after we went through talking about what praise, question, suggestion protocol meant, we moved on to showing them how to use the Padlet. And here I want to add that I could have done a much better job at introducing them to praise, question, suggestion. I should have had specific examples, but I did not. That's something I learned in this activity. So when we go to the Padlet, at the top, you'll see we have our first column. And what I said here is I'm going to put the student's last name and first name in the main column. So I'm a student is going to be the person we're evaluating. And then what you need to do is put your last name and your first name. And then you will need to answer a praise, a question, and a suggestion. Or you'll need to provide a praise, a question, and a suggestion. So let's go ahead and look at I'm a Student's design. What I'm a Student would do is they would pull the design up and they or she would tell us specifically what safety protocols she'd use to create her egg drop and how she's going to keep the egg secure. The students would ask questions. I would ask clarifying questions myself, and then we would go into praise question suggestion protocol. And that would start off with students giving praise. They would say something that they like about this egg drop. Then they'd move on to something they have a question about. And then they would suggest something that I'm a Student should change. As this is happening, I can give immediate direct responses to students who are struggling with understanding what it means to praise someone's work or struggling to understand what it means to give a suggestion to someone. I can see them type it up live, and that will allow me to catch any misconceptions and any misunderstandings that they have when it comes to how to properly run this protocol. And after all the students have given their feedback in the Padlet, I would highlight or spotlight any students whose responses were very strong. So I'd go through and find a person whose praise response was strong. I'd find a person whose question response was strong, and a person whose suggestion response was strong. And that way, it can model for the other students how to properly give these kinds of responses. And that was it for the day. So I really want to say thank you to everyone who submitted their final draft of the egg drop draft. Today, we're going to be going into breakout rooms and running our praise question suggestion protocol. Now, we did this as a team last class, but you're going to do it in a small group this class. So let's go ahead, click on this link, and go to our praise question suggestion protocol. Let's let it load. Okay. So this is what you're going to do. Everyone in your breakout room is going to present their egg drop design. And y'all are going to provide them with feedback using the praise question suggestion protocol. Now, because we don't have a lot of time, you only have to choose one thing to give. You can either give praise, you can give a question, or you can give a suggestion. You don't have to do all three. You just have to do one, okay? When you're presenting, you're going to click on this link right here to find your draft. So here, I'm going to put it in the chat right now. I want everyone to click on that link and see if they uploaded their draft right now. Okie dokie. So right now, what we're going to do is, let's pretend that Simon just presented. So Simon just presented his design. What you're going to do next is you're going to go to the evaluators form. I'm going to put that link in the chat. There it is for you. Click on that link right now. And it's going to take you to this form. You need to click on what class period it is. It's always third period. So this is third period. You need to type in the presenter's first name and the presenter's last name. Okay. And then you get to choose what kind of comment do you want to leave? Do you want to leave praise? Do you want to leave a question? Or do you want to leave a suggestion? You do not have to do all three. You just have to choose one. Okay? After you click submit, you click submit a new submission. So once you click submit, you need to go back in and make a new one because you're going to do it for everyone that's in your breakout room. Right now, I'm going to be assigning breakout rooms. I'm going to make one person in each breakout room the leader. Leaders, you're going to make sure that everyone presents. Then after every single person presents, you're going to make sure that everyone also provides feedback using the form. Just quick recap. One person presents. You share your screen and show your design. And then they're going to give you feedback, either praise, a question, or a suggestion. This is an example of a breakout room with the students sharing their draft. The leader in this case is helping the students navigate the conversations and ask questions about the draft itself. In this particular situation, when the leader was asked what to do next, they said, move on to the praise, question, suggestion form. In this instance, the leader told the students to fill out a praise, question, and suggestion response for this draft. That is why it's super important that teachers are monitoring these breakout rooms in order to catch any misconceptions. Okay, good. So we're gonna be looking at our praise, question, suggestion, feedback that we got last week. Remember when we all sat down and gave people feedback on their designs? We had to give them praise, a question, or a suggestion. We're gonna look at that feedback and we're gonna use it to help us modify our designs. Now, what does the word modify mean?
Through core responses, students decided that modify means change.
Now, it's not always positive change. I could modify something and make it worse. So it could be positive change or negative change. So we're going to think about how we could change our egg drop designs to make it better. I'm going to go ahead and show you all what you're going to be reading through. I'm going to put the link in the chat. So this is all the feedback that everyone got for third period. If you scroll down and go to third period, you're going to be able to see all the feedback that everyone got. You're not going to know who got the feedback. You're not going to know who wrote the feedback. I still know who wrote the feedback, and I know who it was for. But you're just going to look at everyone's feedback. You're going to read through it. And as you read through it, I want you to think of these two questions. These two questions are, could my design benefit from this feedback? How should I modify my design? Go ahead and start reading through these. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Okay, team, that is time. So I know Schoology wasn't working for a lot of y'all, so I'm going to go ahead and read through a couple of these, and then we're going to do our next activity. So I praised the parachute. So this person had a parachute design. Okay. This person said, I like how she's using the blanket to protect the egg from cracking. Let's see. I praise that used a lot of bubble wrap. I love the idea of the bubble wrap. Okay. I question on how she will put it in the egg. So what she meant here is, I question how you're going to put the egg in the egg drop. I suggest adding a door of some sort to put the egg in. Think about this. Does your design have a door on it that you can put the egg in? So team, right now, what I want you all to do, we are going to go to our prove activity. And our prove activity for today is, what would you modify on your original design? What would you change on your original design? Why do you think the modification will help your design? Why do you think the change will help your design? I have sentence stems here for y'all. Think about how you want to change your design, and think about how it could help your design by changing it.
When reflecting on the glows and grows of this activity, one thing that I would really take as a glow, specifically for my first-time students in 6th grade doing this activity, was the fact that the end result, the end feedback, was not specifically ascribed to any student. They were supposed to read every single person's feedback, and they didn't know if it was for them or for someone else. Now, the reason this is key is because in the time that I've done this, and I've done this multiple times, sometimes the feedback is terrible. And of course, you're trying to teach the students how to provide proper feedback, but sometimes feedback slips through that is probably not on the higher order of thinking, and it's more basic thought, like, it looks nice. That is not really deep feedback. And so what I was seeing is that some students would provide these really surface level feedback ideas, and it would not help anyone in their breakout room with what they were working on. So I took the feedback out of being specific to each individual student and made it specific to the whole group. And that works for my project because we're all developing the same end product, we're developing the same artifact, and it's serving the same purpose. So a lot of the feedback that was received could be used for any one student in the class. Now, that is also probably an area of growth because I need to be doing more work beforehand, instructing and training students on how to write praise, questions, and suggestions in order to get those higher level responses from them. Now, an area of growth, and this is one that I realized much later, students could freely choose praise, question, or suggestion. But when we think about those phrases, praise is more like a remember in Bloom's taxonomy, whereas a suggestion is a higher order thinking skill. You're actually analyzing and providing feedback directly. So what I should have done is I should have given specific students the responsibility of providing praise, where I should have pushed some students to make sure they are always providing suggestions. Doing this would allow me to monitor student growth. So a student that started off only being able to provide praise responses at the beginning might, at the end of the year, be able to provide questions or suggestions even.